Good evening and welcome to the main news on OGTV. I am Idowu, Fabajo. On the news tonight, Ogun State government ready to host world-class 2018 Investors Forum. President Muhammadu Buhari launches Economic Recovery Growth Plan in Abuja. United States President Donald Trump fires Tillerson as Secretary of State. The path to success is to take massive, determined action.
Hello, welcome to OGTV News at 8. And on the business segment of the news tonight, Senate reverses decision on appointments to approve CBN top management nominees.
Hello and welcome. I am Moses or Jewumi. On Sport News tonight, Greek club owner apologizes for pitch invasion. This and more sports stories later on the news. Stay with us.
The fourth in the series of Ogun State Investors Forum, the last for the Governor Ibikunle Amosun's administration, is set to host the world again between Tuesday 28th and Wednesday 21st of this month. And this will cap the administration's giant strides in the area of economic growth and ease of doing business in the state. Governor of Ogun State, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, has therefore addressed a world press conference in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, to prepare the mind of the people on what they should expect. Governor's Office correspondent Bumi Adegun completes the story.
That Ogun State is a state with vast economic potential and many opportunities in the Nigerian context. These opportunities can only be fully tapped through collaboration and partnership with our stakeholders.
Today, I want to tell you about our success story, where we're coming from. In 2011, when we came into government, Ogun State was rated as number 35 in terms of ease of doing business in this country by the World Bank. But I'm happy to tell you that by 14th of February 2014, when we went to the World Bank and were able to give them a right to reply, by September 2014, Ogun State has been rated as one of the best 4 in this country in terms of ease of doing business.
This story all started in 2012 when no one was prepared to have business with Ogun State with a long pole. Ogun State Investors Forum is one of the programs conceived by Governor Ibikunle Amosun-led administration, which today has changed its face of economic activities, and so far the state is now the toast of the world.
Ogun State was what we call maybe a partial civil service state. Before we came, of course, Ogun State was a civil service state, and I think my predecessor pushed it to some considerable level to make it to be partial civil service state. They were trying to assert themselves and show that we can be more than just being a civil service state. But thank God, to the glory of God, we have now totally come out of that appellation of a civil service state. We are now the industrial giants in Nigeria, and I can tell you that in the West African sub-region, we are
Over 304 companies have bet in Ogun State in the last 7 years, and over 140 have injected over $200 billion worth of investment.
This is a place that we have created the enabling environment for business to thrive. When it was really now those indices, he mentioned 340 something. But if you notice, when I'm talking to you like this, I usually mention those that have invested in excess of $200 million. And those ones, as we speak today, I think we are now almost maybe 147 or so, because every day people are coming in. But if you look at those that have invested in excess of $50 million, we have the 340 something that is our 4.
As an economic volcano ready to erupt, and which eventually has erupted, the fourth Investors Forum, which is a takeaway for this administration, will leave a template for successive administrations.
We realize that yes, we have done a lot, so we want to consolidate on those gains that we have achieved. And we want to ask ourselves that no, we are not going to rest on our oars. Now that we are consolidating the gains, we want to accelerate the growth. and we want to use some specific sector to achieve all of those. Of course, primary among those which everybody knows is this our agriculture and the agribusiness. We know that if we are able to get that right, Ogun State will be up there.
Governor Ibikunle Amosun personally addressed a World Press Conference ahead of the two-day event, shares more on expectations at the Investors Forum.
And that is why for this year, we have what we've called that, yes, we are consolidating the gains, we are accelerating growth by three things. We want to use agriculture, we want to use industry, and we want to use technology.
The focus of this year's Investors Forum will be agriculture, technology, and industry. The forum will have in attendance Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Minister of Finance Kemi Adeosun, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Idowu, President African Development Bank Dr. Akinwumi Adesina. The forum will also have as part of speakers Mr. Manmohan Singh, former Prime Minister India, with other 6 foreign panelists. The theme of this year's forum is consolidating the gains, accelerating growth. Ogun State is indeed open for business. From the Governor's Office, this is Mbumi Adigun reporting for OGTV News.
In its unrelenting efforts towards ridding its forest reserves of encroachers, Ogun State government has recorded a major breakthrough by arresting some notorious encroachers operating in its forest reserves. Commissioner for Forestry, Chief Kolawole Lawal, disclosed this while speaking with the press at Area J1 Forest Reserve during a monitoring exercise. Chief Lawal, who led the special task force to some villages, which include Korede, Shojukodoro and Ezekiel, on a routine inspection, said some of the arrested suspects had been on the wanted list of the ministry for being the brains behind illegal activities in the reserves, which include aiding illegal migrant, destruction of government trees, and illegal allocation of government land to farmers from neighboring states. He explained that despite the ongoing campaign against the reforestation and planting of new cocoa in the forest reserves, the suspects had illegally set up new settlements deep inside the forest reserves, destroying trees and allocating land in preparation for cocoa planting, adding that the suspects who had been evading arrest before they were finally caught would be prosecuted accordingly.
Things that have been perpetrating illegality on our land. We have room to find out that many of our illegal buyers have been selling government land or reserve land to farmers from neighboring states, and we need to put a stop to that. That's why we're here. If you need agricultural farmland, come to the Ministry of Agriculture, or come to us as a ministry. We will duly allocate land for you in the reserve for agroforestry practice. But for you to engage in illegality and think that you'll be putting forests in jeopardy, we will not accept that. And that's why we're here.
Chief Lawal said the state government had demonstrated its support for agriculture in the state with various programs, adding that destruction of state resources under any guise would not be tolerated. The commissioner, however, advised anyone interested in securing land for agriculture to contact Ministry of Agriculture. Impressed by the infrastructural drive of the Senator Ibikunle Amosun-led administration, members of the Ogun State House of Assembly have commended the ongoing road rehabilitation on Shagamu Ikorodu, Ilaro, Owode, Sabo, Odelemo, Imure, and Ijoko Agbado Ojodu roads. The lawmakers gave the commendation while speaking on the personal explanation during a plenary presided over by the Speaker, Right Honorable Suraj Ishola Adekunbi, at the Assembly Chamber, Okemoson, Abeokuta. Kunle Ibikunle's report is presented in this package.
The lawmakers, while appreciating the state government for the repair and reconstruction of the federal roads which cut across major towns, say the construction works would contribute massively to the socio-economic development of the state, just as it would ease human and vehicular movements.
Today, Amos gave me a surprise about 2 weeks ago. In fact, it gladdens my heart because to reconstruct Owode Inaro, I never expected it. Despite the fact that I've been saying it.
The state government started another road in my constituency. We traveled to the Lemon Road, which will eventually get to Imone. Mr. Speaker, I want to appreciate the state government.
Thank God that as of today, at least I can raise my head high anywhere, considering the level of the job that has been done on this road.
Responding, the Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Suraj Ishola Adekunbi, reaffirms the present government's commitments towards completing all projects before the expiration of the current administration in the state.
His Excellency has really kept to the promise, to his promise of getting the road done before 2019. I really appreciate that. So on this note, I want to enjoy people in that area too to cooperate with the contractor in that area so that they can accelerate the rate of work in that particular area.
In another development, the State House of Assembly played host to the state chapter of the Association of Building Artisans, advising them to liaise with the state governments through the Board of Technical Education with a view to designing curriculum for the advancement of vocational skills for youth in the state.
I want to assure you that any day, anywhere, anytime, we will tell our people about the existence of that noble association. And of course,
earlier, the secretary of the association, Alhaji Rashid Salami, thanked the state government for the ongoing massive infrastructural development in the state, soliciting more government support for all the activities of the association.
Old student associations have an important role to play in the overall development of educational system in Nigeria, hence the need for them to brace up for their responsibility. This formed the cross of opinion of some stakeholders present at the 2018 Alma Mater Day. Benga Adekoya reports that the conference was attended by over 70 alumni associations across the southwestern states.
Conference of all students and alumni associations of southwestern Nigeria has a theme, "Do something for your alma mater now," and was attended by over 70 associations within the region.
Our mission is but to restore our educational system to its glorious days of old and ultimately to world standards.
Chairman of the conference, Oba Dr. Adedotun Aremugbadebo, lauded the giant strides of members of the Alumni Association in reviving the nation's schooling system.
The history of this campaign cannot miss out the unparalleled critical contribution of His Excellency Senator Idowu and model schools with laboratory and teaching equipment of world standard.
In her keynote address, Mrs. Modupe Mujota, Ogun State Commissioner for Education, Science and Technology, says government is eager to collaborate with the association.
Governments at all levels are trying their possible best to ensure all children of school age have access to quality education, but the scarcity of resources must service the competing and deserving needs.
The guest lecturer, Venerable Olushola Ladipo Ajayi, did justice to the topic for discussion, the role and importance of all students' associations in alma mater.
The school becomes your father's compound, from where all of you come. So we have a serious attachment to the school
beyond any stakeholder apart from the government. There were goodwill messages from the patron of the conference and former Commissioner for Education in the Old Western Region, Professor B. Afonja, and Ogun State Head of Service, Mr. Abayomi Shobande, representatives of ANCOPS, ASUS, SUBEB, TESCOM, among others. Question and answer segment wrapped up the event. Benga Adekoya, OGTV News.
As the Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps, TRACE, began enforcement of traffic rules and regulations, no fewer than 100 motorcycles were apprehended were impounded for contravening traffic laws. The exercise, which was supervised by TRACE Corps Commandant, Commander Sheni Ogunyemi, will be a continuous one until the roads are safe. Details of the report are in this package. Traffic light is one of the numerous traffic rules and regulations intended to ensure safety on the roads. Despite this, there has been increase in road crashes due largely to non-compliance with traffic rules and regulation. To prevent this ugly incident, the Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Corps, TRACE, a traffic regulatory agency of Ogun State, has initiated move to arrest and prosecute offenders. At the commencement of this exercise, led by TRACE Corps Commandant, Commander Sheni Ogunyemi, high number of violators at their motorcycles confiscated for flagrant disregard for traffic rules.
We are not here to punish people, to punish motoring public, but to correct them. Their life is so important to the government and to everybody. So we believe that if they conform with the rules and regulations of motorist visit, we believe that there won't be any problem in terms of people to make good use of that road. And that is what we are here. I need to tell everybody that the roads is meant for the road, for people to move on the road, not for traders to impede the free flow of traffic, and not for people parking vehicles indiscriminately on this road. And that's why we are here.
Commander Sheni Ogunyemi seized the opportunity to issue stern warning to those in the habit of disobeying traffic laws. He, however, hinted of a task force now in full swing with Truck Owners Association to guarantee safe motoring on Ogun State roads, which remains a major transit state.
To sensitize people and to form joint task force with the unions. At the National Union of Road Transport Workers, we have task force with them. The Truck Owners Association will form alliance together in terms of task force so that people can obey.
The enforcement took the Commander Ogunyemi-led team to Pansheke Okeigbeyin Shakmon to Mortuary Junction, all in Abeokuta, with no fewer than 100 motorcycles impounded for violation of traffic rules and regulations. What then will happen to those whose motorcycles were impounded?
The penalty is just so simple: disobedience to traffic rules and regulations, ranging from non-usage of crash helmets, ranging from disobeying traffic lights, ranging from maybe driving in the direction prohibited by traffic law. That is what we call one way. I don't know, but the appearances I want, they will not pay less than 15,000.
The exercise will be intensified until the state is rid of reckless and dangerous driving. Coming up, President Buhari declines assent to Electoral Amendment Bill 2018. More news and reports when we return.
My father said opportunity knocks every minute. He used to say to me that even the rising sun is an opportunity. A man must give each day everything. I live by those words. Just 1 minute of one day can change everything. Every day he stepped out with the belief that today might just be that day.
At FCMB, we believe every day is a new opportunity. Let's help you step forward and take it. FCMB, my bank and I.
Ogun State will be welcoming business leaders, industrialists, manufacturers, entrepreneurs, the financial sector, and investors interested in taking advantage of the significant transformation in the state during the past 6.5 years to the Ogun State Investors Forum in Abeokuta on Tuesday 20th and Wednesday 21st of March 2018. With a rapidly improving physical infrastructure in our major cities, strengthening and streamlining of the business environment, improved security, and the recognition of Ogun State as a thriving economic hub for investment and growth in Nigeria, Ogun State is the undisputed investment destination of choice in Nigeria today. Let's share with you our vision and the opportunities that abound in technology, industry, and agriculture in Ogun State. Do not miss the 4th edition of our highly successful Ogun State Investors Forum. To register, visit www.ogunstateinvestorsforum.ng. Ogun State, open for
Metro Park is an iconic and ingeniously conceived development on 55 hectares of land comprising of 100 units of terraced houses, 100 units of fully detached 3-bedroom apartments, 100 units of 1, 2, and 3-bedroom semi-detached houses, 600 square meters service plots for sale, game park, swimming pool, central water system, etc. Metro Park is located in the suburbs adjacent OGTV housing estate and about 10 minutes drive from the governor's office. At Metro Park Estate, we offer a safe, secure, and serene environment for family living with an impeccable finishing standard with exceptional facilities.
This is Metro Park Estate, Ajibo Road, Abeokuta. I'm a beneficiary of this housing estate. You too can become part of it.
For inquiries, call. Now selling Metro Park, Abeokuta.
And this is where, for me, cultural rivalry is so important.
You're welcome back. The chairman of Ogun State Universal Basic Education Board, Alhaji Abdul-Jalil Olatunde Okewole, has commiserated with the parents and the entire Agodo community in Ogun Waterside on the gruesome murder of 2 pupils of St. John's Anglican Primary School, Agodo, Masters Mubarak Kalesonwo and Sunday Obituyi of the nursery class by a suspected lunatic on Monday, 12th of March 2018. Alhaji Okewole, who led a team of board members and management staff of SUBEB on the condolence visit, described the incident as callous, regrettable, and sympathetic. The SUBEB boss, in an interface with the community members and sympathizers at Chief Fatai Keke's compound, advised that people should be security conscious and raise alarm at any suspicious movement to avert such ugly occurrence in future. He enjoined the community members to cooperate with the police in arresting the assailant who had since been at large. Alhaji Okewole also appealed to the community not to threaten the teachers, urging them to send their children back to school as the second-term unified examination is fast approaching. He also met with the divisional police officer, Abigi SP Komolafe, who assured him that the suspect would be arrested and interrogated. While thanking the government for its concern and efforts at arresting the suspect, the Ashikba of Agodo, Chief Jimo Muritala, enjoined government to provide public schools with fence and security men. The victims' parents also appreciated the government for its concerns and sharing in their sorrow. Nigeria's former president, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, has joined the rest of the world in the celebration of 2018 International Women's Day at an event organized by the African Hub International Women Entrepreneurs in Abeokuta. Chief Obasanjo, who shares in the vision to foster the sustainable growth of the SME subsector of Nigeria economy, said women are heavily disadvantaged. Let's join Moreni Kiji Shobaluju for the details.
The program was organized to further harness several potentials in women towards socio-economic growth and development of entrepreneurs. Dedicated to the celebration of the 2018 International Women's Day with the theme, The African Women in Today's Global Environment, at the instance of African Hub International Women Entrepreneurs, was to provide necessary support for small medium enterprises, SMEs.
The things that have been said here were the things that brought African Hub into existence. As a woman entrepreneur, there was no access to finance, I had no mentor, I just knew that I had ideas and I just wanted to go with those ideas.
Peculiar challenges hindering the growth of entrepreneurs like environment, power, mentorship, financing, among other reasons, formed the basis of questions raised by participants. While addressing some gray areas affecting the growth of SMEs, the keynote speaker, former U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Dr. Robin Sanders, says the growing community of SMEs requires strategic approach.
Where women can come together. Sometimes it's collaborative. I think the strength in women's businesses is finding the right collaborative partners to work with. So look for those training opportunities, and I would like to see more of those develop around Nigeria.
Throwing his weight behind women, Chief Host, former President Olusegun Obasanjo says, considering the culture of Nigeria, which places women at a very disadvantaged corner, opportunities must be given to women folk right from home.
And let me take one that I know very well, agriculture, where women are heavily disadvantaged. They don't have access to land. Now these are some of the things that I believe we have to correct and put right. And then of course, we must have peace and justice at home. Here am I.
Moreni Keje Shobaloju, OGTV News.
The recent ranking of Nigeria's economy among the top 10 included the country economy in the global and business rating by the World Bank is a proof of Nigeria's steady growth in the gross domestic product, GDP. President Muhammadu Buhari stated this at the launch of the Economy Recovery Growth Plan in Abuja. President Buhari noted that the diversification of Nigeria's economy, especially through agriculture, has saved the country millions of dollars as more rice is now produced locally, as well as more jobs for teeming youths created to enhance economic growth. On the foreign reserves, Buhari says there was good news as the country is working tirelessly to achieve some reserves for the rainy day.
United States dollars in September 2016 to 42 billion United States dollars by mid-February 2018 and now 46 billion United States dollars.
The forum is brainstorming on how to bring the private sector into Nigeria's economic diversification drive. Meanwhile, President Buhari has declined assent to the Electoral Amendment ACT. The Senate President Bukola Saraki relayed the reason for this in an executive communications from the President. The House of Representatives has resolved to investigate alleged illegal withdrawal of 10 billion naira from the National Health Insurance Scheme Fund. This was sequel to the unanimous Insurance Scheme Fund. This was sequel to the unanimous of a motion by Rep. Chike Olafo, Imo APC at plenary, moving the motion earlier. Okafor has said that NHIS was established to ensure that every Nigerian has access to good healthcare services and to protect families from financial hardship of medical bills. According to him, for the purpose of carrying out the mandate, a fund made up of 5% contribution by each insured person is maintained with the Central Bank of Nigeria. Okafor explained that the withdrawal of monies from such designated accounts under the Treasury single account by any government agency was based on a request of the Chief Accounting Officer of the agency. A recent oversight inspection of the scheme by the Committee on Healthcare Services revealed that two suspicious withdrawals of 5 billion naira each, totaling 10 billion naira, were made from the insured person funds account. These were made on the account with the Central Bank of Nigeria on December 28, 2016 and January 11, 2018, respectively. This was when the executive secretary of the scheme was still under suspension. A 27-year-old man, Jimo Ahmed, and 5 others have been dragged before magistrate court sitting in Ishabo, Abeokuta, for allegedly conspiring to obstruct a police officer during his execution of his lawful duties. In another development, Olanrewaju Fashino, who was alleged to obtaining money under false pretense, has been arraigned in court. Details of the court proceedings are presented in Kolawole Osho's reports.
The accused persons, Jimo Ahmed, Aisha Jimo, Onifade Omotayo, Ogunshino Abdulwasiu, Sanusi Abiodun and Onijoko Ibrahim, were said to have conspired to resist arrest and obstructed a police officer from performing his lawful duties on the 12th day of March 2018 at number 18 Oluga Street, Okebode area of Abeokuta. The first accused person, Jimo Ahmed, on the same day around 4 in the morning, was accused of stealing a phone valued at 35,000 naira, property of Jimo Nofisat. The charge also read that on this fateful day, they assaulted Police Corporal Adewole Adekunle by tearing his clothes during the execution of his lawful duties. They all pleaded not guilty to all the count charges, and in view of this, their counsels prayed the court to grant bail to all the accused persons in the most liberal term and fulfillable conditions of bail. He also cited Section 36, subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, which presumes the accused persons innocent until contrary proven. Section 118, subsection 2 of the Criminal Procedure Law was also cited by the Council, which is said confers a discretionary power on the magistrate court to grant bail to the offence of such nature. He told the court that all the accused persons have credible sureties who will ensure their attendance in court whenever the need arises. Opposing the bail application, Inspector Sunday Igbejiali, who is prosecuting the case, said court should consider the peculiarity of the charge and overrule the bail application. The Chief Magistrate Court 1, Mrs. Adeola Adelaja, thereafter granted bail to the first accused person in the sum of 700,000 naira and also granted bail to the second to sixth accused persons in the sum of 500,000 naira with 2 sureties each in like sum. Similarly, Olanrewaju Fashino, who was accused of obtaining 150,000 naira from Wasiu Oyeyemi under the pretense of selling a piece of land to him, but instead converted the sum to his personal use. After pleading not guilty, the presiding magistrate, Mr. Aliu Shoneye, granted bail in the sum of 400,000 naira with 2 sureties in a like sum and adjourned the case till 20th of March 2018 for trial.
Let's now join Kayode Taiwo for some business news.
And this is where, for me, cultural rivalry is so important.
Ogun State will be welcoming business leaders, industrialists, manufacturers, entrepreneurs, the financial sector, and investors interested in taking advantage of the significant transformation in the state during the past 6.5 years to the Ogun State Investors Forum in Abeokuta on Tuesday 20th and Wednesday 21st of March 2018. With a rapidly improving physical infrastructure in our major cities, strengthening and streamlining of the business environment, improved security, and the recognition of Ogun State as a thriving economic hub for investment and growth in Nigeria, Ogun State is the undisputed investment destination of choice in Nigeria today. Let's share with you our vision and the opportunities that abound in technology, industry, and agriculture in Ogun State. Do not miss the 4th edition of our highly successful Ogun State Investors Forum. To register, visit www.ogunstateinvestorsforum.ng. Ogun State, open for
Welcome to business segment of the news. I am Idowu. The Senate has decided to reverse its earlier decision not to confirm any nominee from President Muhammadu Buhari, whose office is not expressly stated in the Constitution. At legislative proceedings, the Senate decided to make concessions by screening for confirmation nominees for the position of Deputy Governor of CBN and members of the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN. The Senate is taking this decision after a federal lawmaker, Senator Rafiu Ibrahim, appealed to the lawmakers to confirm the nominees for the position of Deputy Governor of CBN and members of the Monetary Policy Committee of the CBN. He explained that MPC has been unable to hold its meetings because it does not have the required number of members to form quorum, and this has had adverse effects on the economy. The CBN could not hold the meetings in January this year due to the Senate's refusal to approve the critical committee members to form a quorum as stipulated in the CBN Act of 2007. The Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, an agency tasked with cleaning up the country's oil industry, has said though financial accountability has improved, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation still has not explained billions of dollars of missing revenue. While energy producers had cooperated and complied with requirements to publish payments, NETI had struggled with the NNPC. The executive secretary of the agency, Wasiri Adio, was quoted to have said in an interview in Abuja. He said the state oil company had not explained what it did with at least $22.7 billion earned from the sale of oil licenses and in dividends from its stake in Nigeria LNG Limited over a 15-year period. The NNPC has said in the past that it had the authority of the government for its actions. Power generation companies are planning to disrupt the supply of electricity across the country, an intention that suggests blackmail against the federal government. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has alleged. Reacting to reports that some of the firms had gone to court to file claims against the federal government, Fashola stated that the move was consistent with the rule of law, but stressed that the power firms must be ready to face scrutiny in the court of public opinion. The firms also accused the federal government of conferring preferential treatments on Azura Power West African Limited and Akugas Limited at their expense. But speaking at the 25th monthly power sector meeting in Rio, Fashola said the GENCOs must be ready to explain to power consumers that despite all they had benefited from the federal government, they were still planning to hold the citizens hostage. Still on power sector, power distribution companies do not have the sole responsibility of providing meters for electricity consumers anymore. The Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission has declared. According to NERC, a new regulation unveiled has now introduced another class of operators in the power sector called meter asset providers. The Commissioner, Legal Licensing and Compliance, NERC, Dave Akpeneye, said MAPS will now take up the duty of providing meters to customers, among other functions. Akpeneye, who spoke at the 25th monthly power sector meeting, said the Commission saw the non-availability of meters as a very serious concern and met with the consumers, discos, financiers, and other stakeholders across the industry in order to solve the perennial problem. That's business news tonight. Back to Idowu Fabajo for the rest of the bulletin.
Welcome to the foreign segment of the news. U.S. President Donald Trump has sacked Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, replacing him with the director of the CIA, Mike Pompeo, thanking Mr. Tillerson for his service on Twitter. Mr. Trump said the new state secretary would do a fantastic job. Mr. Tillerson, a former chief executive of ExxonMobil, was only appointed to the job just over a year ago. The president also nominated Gina Haspel to become the first woman director of the CIA. The Department of State said Mr. Tillerson has not spoken to the president and was unaware of the reason for his firing. Speaking to reporters outside the White House, Mr. Trump said his differences with Mr. Tillerson came down to personal chemistry. Palestinian Prime Minister Rami Abdullah has escaped unharmed after an explosion targeted his convoy in Gaza. No group has said it carried out the attack, which injured several guards. The Palestinian Authority said it was an assassination attempt and that it held the militant Hamas movement, which dominates Gaza, responsible. Hamas said the attack was an attempt to damage Gaza's security and deal a blow to efforts to finalize reconciliation between the main Palestinian factions. Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank have been ruled separately since the rift between Hamas and President Mahmoud Abbas' Fatah faction erupted in violence in 2007. At least 30 people have died in fresh clashes after heavily armed men attacked villages in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, Dr. Congo. The men wielding machetes, arrows and AK-47s are reported to have started by bullying peoples. At least one of the affected villages in Ituri province, according to the United Nations-sponsored Radio Okapi. The radio station says it has counted as many as 41 dead after speaking to local people. In 2 of the villages alone, witnesses said 10 people had been killed. The violence is believed to be the latest in series of ethnic clashes, which has left more than 100 people dead since December. There were 31 deaths reported at the start of this month alone. Up next is Sport News with Moses Ojewumi.
Sport news. From the foreign scene, PAOK Salonika president Ivan Savvidis has apologized for entering the pitch during a Greek Super League game on Sunday while carrying a gun. Savvidis was pictured on the field of play with all-star weapon during the clash against AEK Athens, making a high-profile protest after a 90th minute winner from PAOK's Fernando Varela was initially disallowed for offside. The 58-year-old attempted to confront referee Georginos Koninis, and the game was eventually abandoned 2 hours later after Athens player refused to return to the pitch. The result was later confirmed on the Super League's website as a 1-0 win for PAOK, with Varela's goal being allowed to stand. But that could all change depending on any punishment meted out by the Greek FA. In a statement on PAOK's website, Savvidis said, I quote, "I want to apologize to all fans of PAOK, all Greek fans, the global community. I am very sorry for what happened. Clearly, I did not have the right to go out on the pitch in this way." End of quotes. Jose Mourinho has warned Real Madrid they will be wasting their time if they attempt to lure David De Gea away from Manchester United this summer. De Gea has just 18 months to run on the 5-year contract he signed in September 2015 following the collapse of a move to Real due to paperwork not being submitted before the transfer window in Spain closed. But Mourinho wants to keep the Spanish #1 at Old Trafford and is confident he can do so. In his words, I quote, "I see him here. I don't know what the intentions are of Real Madrid, but they should think about another player." End of quotes. The J is in action for United as they host Sevilla in the second leg of the last 16 tie in the Champions League. And still on football, Cairo Giants and multiple African champions Al Ahly have secured the 40th Egyptian League title. Azam and Badri's team were confirmed as winners when a barren draw between Al Masry and Entag El Abi gave them an unassailable lead. Ali had put themselves on the verge of the crown by beating Epi on Sunday. The coach issued a rallying call for the squad to make on to their next targets for 2018. Al Ahly were beaten in the final of the continental competition by Moroccan giants while at Casablanca. They will travel to Gabon to play the second leg of their last 32 tie with Morena this weekend. And let's revisit what went down at Indian Wells on Monday. Serena Williams was knocked out of the Indian Wells by her elder sister, Venus, on Monday. Venus, who has been in good form in 2018, defeated her sister in straight sets, 6-3, 6-4. And still on tennis, Andy Murray could make his return from hip surgery at one 2-0 indoor event in Britain later this spring. Murray said after this operation that he hoped to return around the grass court season or maybe slightly before. The Scot 30 is unlikely to want to return on physically demanding day which precedes the grass court season, and his options elsewhere are limited. But the Lawn Tennis Association, LTA, has announced 2 new indoor hard court events in Glasgow and Loughborough. Both will be staged on the ATP Challenger Tour, level below the ATP World Tour, with a prize fund of $100,000. Lastly, two-time world champions Fernando Alonso has said he considered quitting Formula One at the end of last season. In the wake of 3 years of poor results with struggling McLaren, the Spaniard pondered switching full-time to IndyCar or endurance racing. However, he said it was not the time to step out after those poor results. The Spaniard set the second fastest time in pre-season testing last week, but that was after McLaren had had its difficult days plagued with unreliability. He said McLaren's lack of performance during the Honda era had made him forget the extra buzz that comes from running at the front. Alonso said he was not frustrated too much with being struck on 2 world titles in 2006, despite being regarded as one of the best drivers of his era, and 3 near misses in 2007, 2010, and 2012. And that's it on Sport News. The rest of the news continues shortly.
We shall now serve you the weather forecast for Wednesday. The path to success is to take massive, determined action. And just before we go on the news, let's quickly remind you of our top stories. The Ogun State government is ready to host a world-class 2018 Investors Forum in Abeokuta. President Muhammadu Buhari has launched Economic Recovery Growth Plan in Abuja. The United States President Donald Trump has sacked Rex Tillerson as Secretary of State. The Senate has reversed decision on appointment of Central Bank of Nigeria top management nominees. And on sport, we said Greek club owner Ivan Savidis has apologized for pitch invasion. And that's it on the news for tonight. Many thanks for your time. Do have a wonderful night rest.